Everybody for attending the fire committee meeting here tonight. 16th, 2023. So we'll call this meeting to order. And those online, welcome. And I'll just read some rules and regulations here that have changed here around the viewing of this, these meetings that Plympton-Wyoming Council will be having in the future. And that is, this meeting is being streamed live and recorded. I'm going to repeat that word, recorded, in public viewing on the town's YouTube page using the following link, www.youtube.com/@Plympton-Wyoming-streams. This change was made just a couple of weeks ago by the council that these meetings will be recorded for a period of 1 year on a rolling 12 months. In other words, as each month goes on, 1 month will drop off and they'll be kept for a period of a year. So just so you realize that. Applicants, proponents, and delegates must make a request to Ella Flynn at Plympton-Wyoming Plympton-Wyoming.ca to receive instructions on how to attend a meeting virtually as a participant. Attendees will not be permitted into the meeting using any name but their given name, and will only be permitted as an attendee for the agenda item that pertains to them. Attendees will be dismissed following the hearing of their item, but can view the remainder of the meeting via YouTube. So moving forward here, anybody has a pecuniary interest, conflict of interest here, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting as you see fit. Item number 3 on the agenda tonight would be the adoption of the committee meeting minutes. 3.1, minutes be adopted by the fire exec committee, and that those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of the committee remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. We have the fire exec committee meeting minutes of March 20th, 2023. So you just take a look at those. If there's any corrections or modifications, you can bring them up now. Any changes? No, sir. Good. I'm not hearing any changes. Scott, you okay? Or you still just?
Absolutely good.
Okay. Okay, that was moved by Gary Atkinson, seconded by Christian Rodriguez, that those minutes be adopted by the fire exec committee, and confidential minutes, closed session committee remain confidential and public disclosure in accordance with exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information. All in favor of those March 20th minutes? Gary? You? Okay, any business arising from the previous minutes? Anything you want to talk about that was on those minutes? Kristen?
The smoke and CO program that we does not have in place yet. Now that we have Ella, it's something that we how does that work? How does that work?
What?
So we currently don't.
So we do about the counter. So
I understand.
we need a program, so request a lot to do staff reports.
Okay. That's how it works. Okay.
So with smoke alarms, CO. You say you have them at the counter?
Yeah, we've had them in here, yeah.
Yeah, so I understand there is an unofficial program in
Yes,
place,
there is.
but there's nothing to really direct anybody. Yes, succession and things like that. On how the program works and things like more organized fashion. Yeah.
Okay. What about the fire departments? You guys have had smoke alarms you would pass out if needed.
go to a call and just they're needed, everything else, and we'd leave them in a safe position, everything else. That in the past, we've also gone to trailer parks, we've done in the communities, even at our open houses or anything else that we talk about, there have smoke detectors and CO detectors out, and that trying to get to the community, in the community and everything else about the importance of them and everything. And you're probably trying to get back into it again. We've been a couple of years since we did anything, I think, so with COVID. And so.
Yeah, so he's, if I may,
Yeah, sure.
he's talking about two different things. I think where you're hanging probably should be incorporated into the program. And then the other part is the educational side of it, which is a separate.
Yeah.
I don't even think we some sort of formatting thing we don't have in place. So we'll eventually get to that. Okay.
Yeah, no, there is a requirement
It is.
to have that plan that in place. So
Yeah.
So the ones at the front desk, you done, Kristen?
Yes.
We're charging for those ones, right? You charge.
Yeah.
Costs, whatever it costs.
I have to look up the cost. I don't.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Ella, do you know the cost off the top of your head?
I want to say around $20.
Yeah.
Only 22. I don't know.
So you want a staff report in making the kind of finalizing it that we do have a policy? Is that what you're?
Yeah, so we're just doing things with no formal policy in place or program, or I wouldn't say policy, like program in place to say, you know, this is what for our due diligence and is what we're supposed to do. These are the things we have in place, right? And here's where they are available and what their costs are. And then the other side of it is when they're out supplying them as well, you know, putting it all on paper.
Jerry?
Just a question through you, Mr. Chair, to DC. Some in your trucks as well, do
yes,
you?
we do.
Then if you feel that people need them, then you.
Yeah. When there's CO detectors going off, we can't figure out why. There's a faulty detector or anything else. That we'll make sure that their home, when we leave, that their home is still safe.
That's great.
Excellent.
Due diligence, we cannot leave that. By law, they have to have a working smoke detector or a CO detector and everything else. That we can't leave there and that without it.
Good.
So that would be part of it.
And for most parts, we've asked that they return them. I think I've known one to be returned. I don't know, the 60 that we've handed out.
Yeah.
We do buy them. We do have a good rate from the Fire Safety Council. And we can get combination CO smoke detectors for about $25. It's usually around about 50. You go to Home Depot or any place like that. So
Yeah.
their name brand, they're Kitty.
Oh, they're good. Yeah.
Do they talk to?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay, so that's a good fire prevention topic there for sure. And I know we've handed them out before. And somebody makes a request to, you know, there certain people just can't afford some of this stuff. And I know the fire department's been known to. Yeah. Anonymously.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other business arising from those past minutes? No? Okay.
I think there is other stuff, but it's farther down.
Sure. Okay. Okay, number 5 there, accounts. Fire Exec Committee receives and approves the payables for April 2023. Here.
Oh, I didn't get the memo, but that's nice with those old people on the council. I didn't get the memo about that. Those old people.
I know, this just drives me.
Oh,
It's their first rodeo.
yeah.
Youngster over there said.
Yeah. Okay, Any questions on the accounts?
What?
Accounts.
Oh.
It's just my way of saying it.
Oh,
Go ahead, Kristen.
I have about 1 million, because I'm so new. And then I'm just seeing different expenses and stuff, so I'm trying to get the hang of it.
Yep.
Um,
Don't take away from Gary though.
I know, Gary goes through them all, so I thought. Catch. The first two lines are. Ford trucks, what are they? Like, who are they?
Railway servers, the first one is the 2011, that's truck 5 out of Wyoming, that insurance, annual oil change and everything.
No, yeah. But what's it for? Who's it for? What is it?
The service truck, those are pickups. We have 3 pickup trucks, that truck 5 and truck 9, which are service vehicles, pickups in each fire station. People to go for training, used to haul back and forth. Just a utility vehicle.
Okay.
And the third one is the chief's vehicle. It's actually the repair on the second one, so.
They're people movers and for moving equipment so that bunker gear isn't going into personal vehicles
Yeah.
to travel. If firefighter shows up to the hall and doesn't make the initial trucks responding, they can take the pickup. And then be able to respond in that and have a way to shuttle people back and forth if there's individuals that need to leave for a something else that they can't stay at the scene or take extra manpower for training or that type of.
Okay, that's kind of, I was trying to figure out, what are they for? And are these trucks like, are they got like the PW fire properly labeled?
They're lit up and
Lit up?
they're just like the fire truck, just a smaller version, so.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I've ever seen it.
We're gonna take a tour of the hall with me.
Yes, I'd love to have it.
Yeah.
Chair, yes, because I have no idea what these are.
We've talked about that, haven't we?
Yeah.
We'll set something up.
And then, I see, the Herlock a couple of times. Or, so we see like the set.
One of them had, the first one was the, we're
Yeah.
getting all flashes and everything else. That, he's local and everything else and
Yeah.
gives us, okay, gives us an extremely good price, so.
Yes, and I do think they're good.
Yeah.
This is knowing. I just wasn't sure if he's like the set vendor, if you do price out these things, and I don't want to take away from local.
Yeah.
Right. I may continue. The cell phones. So I remember at the beginning of the year, we budgeted $1,000. I remember that price because I thought it was so low for cell phones for the year. So there's a lot of different cell phone charges on here, but I'm really not clear on what they all are. Like whether I can see some are quarterly, some have a particular date on them.
Yeah. Okay, Chris and I that get paid $30 a month for use of our personal cell phone.
Okay.
We don't have a town cell phone and everything else.
Okay.
The other mobility charges on there are for cell phones and tablets that are in the fire trucks.
Okay.
And we operate along with our who's responding and that and give directions and everything else too, so. using that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we probably didn't budget, right?
Yeah,
Did we?
Yeah.
Because like if I added up and.
there's a couple different line items on there, so.
Probably around 1,500 to 2,000, which I thought 1,000 was kind of low to start with. Like at my work, we pay $800.
I believe, I don't have the budget for me, but there's two different line items. There's a separate line item that for cell phone, Chris cell phone, I think the chief cell phone. Also, then there's one for the truck cell phones.
Oh, so there were two lines.
There is, I believe it's later on.
Oh, okay, I must have missed that. Okay, good. So we're making sure we're getting the proper coverage for you. How is your cell service, by the way? Oh, you're.
Wyoming, it's good.
Yeah, all you do, it sucks.
Wyoming.
Yeah, all you do sucks.
Yeah, like, oh, Lake Shore is terrible. And then my next question. An outstanding invoice for an Ontario Fire Trunk Inc. Fire Truck Inc. And all it says is outstanding balance.
Terrified, oh, okay. That was for our ladder inspections.
Oh, okay.
That was done in January and took till April. And we had some administration problems.
Okay. Yeah.
March, January, February.
Oh, so it's a cleanup.
It's cleanup, yeah. All budgeted for, so.
Okay. No. And then the pest control. That's my last question. So like, does that get done every month?
Yeah, they do it. They
Like
have,
all year long?
Yeah.
So isn't there like is that like just a yearly fee broken down or? Why are we paying for, it's weird to pay for something like that monthly.
I don't know what, I never set the contract up, but I know they're in the halls each time. They're a bigger concern, Wyoming station being right beside the feed mill.
Yeah.
They always that, so,
Had
You
lice.
don't want all the equipment wrecked. Right?
yeah. They've had a lot of damage to mice in there, so.
Imagine. Okay, I think that's it for me. Did I leave anything for you, Mr. Mayor?
There's a couple things that you missed, but I'll.
Oh, okay. It's because I don't know.
So- You're learning well, Grasshopper.
Go ahead, Gary.
Just a couple questions, paid over 3,000 for M&L supply, fire and safety, functional tests and labor. What were those tests on, guys?
That's their breathing air apparatus
That's a routine that we do every so
every
often.
year.
NFP requirement to have them. Serviced
Yeah, they come right down and do it right on site.
or that they.
Those stations. Um, Yeah, I think that Councilor Rodriguez answered the rest of my questions, so no, it's good. I feel neglected, but that's okay.
You guys go first next time.
Yeah. We'll take turns.
That's fine. No, good job, guys. Thanks.
Anybody else have any questions? I don't have any. You guys pretty well took my thunder. Okay, moved by Kristen Rodriguez, second by Gary Axon. The committee receives and approves tables of April 2023. All in favor? Gary, thank you. Okay. 5.2. Fire Exec Committee receives a letter from Plympton County Fire Chiefs Association regarding additional ops channels 3 and 4. Costing $17,901.90. Be received by the committee in the letter. And costing before the Wyoming Council for approval. Any questions on that? Kristen?
Thank you. The next item that you're gonna do a verbal, is it on?
Yeah, so it's kind of a duplicate,
Is it? Okay.
agenda item.
You're gonna talk about it after we approve it?
Well, we can talk about it now, I
Yeah,
guess.
we talk
I
about
think it's kind of back.
Go ahead. Talk about it first.
Yeah, because I just like to, the additional station radio program. 400, like, so that's not included in the
Correct.
17.
So. Mr. Chair, I guess I can go ahead with the 6.1, or at least some of the background on the cost of that.
Sure, you want to go with 6.1 first, talk about that?
At least be able to give the background info on.
That'll
the-
explain why we need it.
Sure. Go ahead.
So what's been transpiring across the county, PAC or Wallsburg Dispatch has informed the county chiefs that they will be following their service agreement to the agreement. So there's some additional services they've been providing the last few years that they're no longer going to be doing. One of them being the who's responding, updating addresses in there and dispatching out on that. Multi-station response, which is when Wyoming and Kamlaki stations are paged out together for Monday to Friday calls, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And also the being able to radio to Wallsburg, we call Hydro One or Union Gas for those phone calls. So those were never included in the service agreement, just something they've been doing, and they're at the point where their dispatchers are very busy with the EMS side, so they're not able to provide those services anymore. At the same time, there's a couple fire departments in the county that are inquiring for dispatch services elsewhere. One of the a couple of the recommendations on our fire master plan was to go with dispatching services that meet the NFPA requirements and having the dispatchers trained to that requirement. So Plympton Shores and St. Clair Township should be transitioning to Sarnia dispatch in June, with the follow-up that the majority of the rest of the county, I believe it's all but
I think local.
yeah, so the two reserve fire departments are staying with Wallsburg, but the rest are transitioning to Sarnia. So in saying that, it's going to be a bit of an increased cost, one being the $17,900, and that is to program 2 more operations channel.
It's actually to purchase the channels, and radios across the county reprogrammed. What this will do with Sarnia dispatch is there will be a dispatcher on the radio listening for the entire duration of the call. So when we are dispatched currently for a call and arrive on scene, Wallsburg will hand us over to a TAC channel, and that is only for that, a few hundred feet. It's very close range, and if we need to talk to dispatch, we have to switch to a different channel, so they aren't listening to the fireground operations. Currently with Sarnia Fire and Point Edward Fire, who operate under Sarnia, they have a dispatcher listening to the entire call. We'll provide some prompts if there's some additional services needed, as well as the call reports. There was a instance for a call report here with, I think it's the Point Edward call. Every unit responding is time stamped, every unit arriving on scene. The benchmarks, that was another one of the recommendations, some of the benchmarks, agent applied, lost stop, terminating command. Those are all captured in the call report that gets sent out afterwards. Currently from Wallsburg, we get a run number and 4 to 5 times. And it's up to times paged, there's times to call, receive, times paged, times responding, time on scene, back in service.
So on top of all that, there's every other unit responding and additional details that are relayed over the radio that is captured when Sarnia is dispatching a call for both Sarnia Fire and Point Edward. So that's definitely something that's been lacking on our calls and was highlighted in the fire master plan to upgrade our dispatching services. It's a service that the Sarnia Police services who it's through. They're confident they can provide the service that all of the departments in the county are looking for. They made it pretty clear that they weren't trying to sell the service. They were approached by a couple of the departments that were looking to make a change. So that's kind of where things are at. So the cost is to be able to make that transition for all the departments in the county. Well, that's Plympton-Wyoming's share, roughly 9% of the bill. Yeah, that's
No new equipment other than the ops channels that still run. They're still using the Veracom system that we put in place back 4 years ago. That it just a matter of this, instead of being dispatched out of Wallsburg, we're dispatched out of Sarnia, and then so all the same towers are being used. There we go. So
Good question.
So when you say channel, the 2 channels, you're like talking about dedicated.
Yeah, so currently on our radios, we have 2 operations channels, and the difference between an operations channel and a tactical channel is operations uses all the radio, the towers in the county. So you could directly talk from Walpole Island, and you would be able to talk like normal. A tactical channel is just the strength of the radio, so it's more for like on-scene operations. What happens at a call or a significant call, the IC or the incident commander has to wear two radios, one to talk to all the units that are on the scene, on the fire scene, and another to talk to Wallsburg or any other incoming departments if it's been other stations paged in. So it gets a little cumbersome, where how they've laid it out is to include two more operations channels, and each area of the county will be sectioned and with a designated channel to mainly operate on. You can use any other channels if they're not busy, but it would be to have, you know, if Wyoming's working a call, Petrolia comes over, Kamlaki comes over, Warwick could come over, everyone's operating on the same channel that also the dispatcher can listen to as well the entire time. Yeah.
Which is fabulous, because that would help with those parts of the master plan to help have more statistical information to understand, you know, where the needs may be, right, down the road. Where the problems are. Shoot, I lost my train of thought there. So from that report that you get, and you enter that in the fire.
Yes, that would go Fire Pro and also into the OFM
So
system.
you have all that right there, you know.
Timestamp to the second, yes.
That's fabulous. And Fire Pro, by the way, I did look it up from the last meeting. And they do have cloud-based.
What?
Cloud-based,
Oh, do they? Okay.
yeah,
Oh, they never informed me about it. Okay. I don't-
yeah. From what I looked up
Yeah.
and saw, they
Okay.
definitely have cloud-based, so that could be a solution.
Yeah.
For sure, to satisfy the counties.
I'm gonna contact the county tomorrow about something else similar to that, so I'll mention that and
Yeah,
check into it, so.
yeah, because that would be a good solution on that front.
Because the other part, which I just found at the chief's meeting last week, is that the Surrey Dispatch figures that their systems are compatible enough that not just sending us an email of the report, that they could actually email it or send it and then rate to Fire Pro.
Oh, that's awesome.
That would be awesome, because that was taking a lot of work off me, that's for
I
sure.
love technology, so. That's
So
amazing.
and so if we keep Fire Pro, it'd be good. There's another system out there we looked at last year with ESO that is still not available in Canada until the end of the year. I'll check with this cloud-based that, because I'd rather that we got all the information on Fire Pro later.
And it's compatible.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
amazing. So every jurisdiction in Plympton County is switching.
That's right, yes.
I thought I heard you mention Lambton Shores there. I wasn't sure what that was.
Lambton Shores and St. Clair are going June 7th.
Oh, they're just going.
Yeah, they've already got the ball rolling. They've passed their bylaws with the service agreements. So it's well on their way. So the rest of the county will catch up in September.
Okay, and so this $400 per station, and what's the ongoing yearly fees as well?
So the $400 per station, is that included, or that's to reprogram all of our radios at each station to add the two more operation channels. Everything else, the hardware and software across the county
All compatible.
Surrey Dispatch is currently the backup dispatch center for the county. If Wallsburg were to go down, they are the backup. So they already have the capabilities to do this. It's just a formality and making sure. Yeah, if this section of the county is assigned operations 3, we need to have those channels programmed on our radios.
So are there, I guess we'll find that all out in the service agreement, like are there yearly fees?
We do have there is a service agreement that actually that's I got the old one right here with somewhere that there's a complete service agreement that there's an updated one that just came out that sorry, your police board that was similar to what we have with CAC and everything else before at Wallsburg or Sunnybrook Hospital. That we were looking at this last year that we knew that the cost per person in their yearly fee would go up. It's all paid by the county. The county administers back out to the municipalities. So our budget is reflected in that. The cost, the only cost we didn't have was the $400 per station, which is that's minimal, that we can handle that. But we didn't have the cost for the ops channels, which is additional, which is not in our budget, that 17.9. So
So that $400 is a one-time fee just to
Yeah.
run programs.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. I was just wondering if it's an ongoing.
but all the other fees we've been doing all along.
Okay, so
Yeah.
nothing
Really
really.
service fees, dispatch calls, everything else.
Yeah. And
That's all budgeted.
they were increased this year
Yeah.
in expectation of giving
Yeah.
us.
Right. And so my last question, because I don't want to hog it. Sorry. My last question, you mentioned how Sarnia was already the backup for Wallaceburg. Who's the backup for Sarnia?
They have a second dispatch location. But if the need be, Wallsburg would still be.
So they revert back.
They have an alternate dispatch location. Sarnia Police Board already has a second location.
Okay.
I guess it would be a tertiary or a third location would be the Wallsburg if that were the case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to DC Career and Jordan, couple things. Our contract with Wallaceburg, when does that expire?
We need to give them 90 days notice. And right now we're looking at September for the rest of the departments, the rest of the departments, municipalities have to change over somewhere in September.
That's the target date when everybody wants to swing over then.
Yeah.
And our contract with them, can you refresh my memory? How long did it run? Just till then? Or is it like an ongoing
It
rolling?
was an ongoing contract, but we just needed 90 days to,
It's an open.
90 days notification termination, so.
And this is located at the police headquarters in Sarnia.
Yeah.
Okay,
He did have it before years ago.
before we went to,
So Sarnia Fire Dispatch was dispatching us in the county. Here. Took it out of Sarnia Fire, moved Sarnia Fire, Sarnia Police. Everything for us was good and everything else, but the farther you got out from the county, and that's why they started going with the base hospital in Millersburg, because there was also relaying off a tower in Petrolia, kind of centers, which kind of solved some of our problems.
I know,
The information required for a fire service is a lot way different than an ambulance service, so.
and I think I do remember when I first came on that we had some issues with CAC.
Yeah.
There, and I've heard nothing but positive things about the city one.
Yeah.
The board there. I guess my $1 million question, did we budget for this?
Yes.
So do we have enough money for?
The only thing we didn't budget for is the 18,000 for the ops channels.
So we need to come up with that kind of money then. So, Mr. Chair, do we take that back to council then for that?
We would have no choice but to, because we don't have $18,000 in the budget to pay for. Is there anywhere else in the budget that it can come out of?
I don't think so.
Do you want a Christmas? Okay, I'm just kidding.
That definitely would have to be approved by the council, would it not? Well, it does anyways, but I mean, an extra 18,000, it's not in our budget.
So I
So you
think,
have to see at the year end where you're at.
Yeah, see what the final report is.
To
And
get
then
it back.
Oh, yeah. So you're probably gonna be in deficit and where we're gonna think that that's from.
Yeah.
It's not really your fault because we didn't know the budget for it, right?
Yeah,
The county absorbed it.
we have anything in reserves at all? Not much, I don't
We have
think.
a little bit in fire reserves, but not much.
Yeah,
But
not
we're
much.
just gonna take it out of general reserves. And if there's a surplus at the end, we
May have a surplus, so we'll just. Balance that out.
at the end of the year.
So I guess the best thing to do is have the staff report, there was agreement in the final figures. Get it put together and have it presented at the next council meeting or for approval for that extra money.
So is there an agreement to be signed?
yeah. I got it.
Aaron will need to have that information.
Okay, I got the new one I can send to her, so.
And then is there a bylaw?
It'll be a bylaw to approve the agreement.
So staff can figure out where the money's coming from and how you're gonna pay it back on the next year's budget.
Not paying it back.
That was quick.
Right on there.
It has so many good things about it that's gonna make things so much.
Oh, it
easier for
is.
You guys,
Yeah.
that is worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about a lot.
When they were doing the presentation with the amount of info that's provided on these call reports that are sent right after. And yeah, without knowing that they can just potentially populate it right into Fire Pro that, yeah, definitely.
It saves so much time on administration and.
It was shortly before that when we had that Mandamin Road fire and trying to figure out how long from on scene to flying agent was.
You're busy.
Relayed, but
trying to
it's
do
not,
Yeah.
it's not written down by Wolf. It's one of their benchmarks that they're listening for.
And going back into with this, that we knew last year that it was gonna be approximately that $2 a person per population higher than what it was. That, but with the service we're getting and especially now with CAC, that this is what you agreed to do. And for us to get up to that level of service, it probably costs us more than that. And that's not even a guarantee we'd still get the same service.
So the Sarnia agreement will pick up all those little extras that CAC was dropping.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
kind of keep us exactly the
This
way.
is basically a full fire dispatch.
To me, this pays for itself
Yeah.
because you're saving that much money in administration if we can streamline this, the way that you're presenting it. That's less paper administration work.
No, that's a bonus to it. But it's just that a lot of the safety stuff that's involved in everything that's captured as well to recover
Yeah, you
ourselves.
get to focus on what's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what you need to focus on.
having a dispatcher listening the entire time, they can cue into some of the radio chatter that, if they can provide some support
Yeah.
from their end as well, and definitely,
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're working on a tactical screen that and certain things like PARS, personal accountability report, that you guys been out there for a while, you haven't done anything that they kind of prompt you that we're kind of missing this.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are they going to have trouble reaching the outer skirts of the county? Now, I realize your tower is not changing.
Yeah,
or anything
the
like
same,
that.
same system, just somebody else that is moving from here to here to the radio that.
Have we resolved the problems of it not reaching the extremities of the community? Because even with this new tower, we were having some problems there. Has that been resolved?
Yeah, I think that we haven't any issues or anything else, so.
service issues that we've had recently, I think things have been pretty well.
Settled.
Yeah,
And there's a new cell tower, if we're talking cell towers. There's a new cell tower going up. in
that's
Kansas.
got nothing to do with it.
No.
Okay, so if you, Jordan, deal with Aaron on that, then she'll set something up for council and then we'll take it to council and they'll have to approve the extra money and we may have to get you there to give an explanation to the rest of the council.
Yeah, no problem.
If that would be okay. Yes.
Sorry, one more question. The Wallaceburg was an open agreement, basically just 90 days notice. This one here, does it have a term on it, an initial term and then?
I would think it'd be similar. I haven't read.
Termination clause in there.
There is one yet.
Probably 90 days the same.
90 days.
So there's no initial term and then 90 days, like you have to be with us for like 3 years and then.
Usually 5 years,
Thank you.
renew for 1 year periods and 90-day termination.
Yeah, so you can't terminate in the middle of a year is what that's saying. When you're coming up to your year, and if you did want to switch, you have to be prepared to give 90.
Now, when I asked Scotty if you want to be at the council meeting, Chris, same with you, if you both want to be there, one of you guys decide amongst you what you're going to do, but might be beneficial to be there.
Well, the new chief or our chief's back, so.
I know nothing. Okay, any other questions on that? Motion here. We all done discussing that? Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing else, Mr. Chair.
Okay, moved by Gary Atkinson, second by Christian Rodriguez. Fire Exec Committee receives a letter from Plympton County Fire Chief Association regarding additional ops channels 3 and 4 and the costing of $17,901 be received by the committee. The letter of costing be forwarded to Plympton-Wyoming for approval. Yeah. Doesn't really, that motion only talks about the channels, doesn't really talk about changing of the dispatching.
I think that was already discussed last fall, at budget time. The changing of dispatch.
But, okay, so, all right, so that 17,000 really is the cost of the radio.
The two op channels, that's
Yeah,
all.
it's got nothing to do with the dispatcher.
Right.
Right, okay. Right, okay, that's fair enough. All in favor? Carry. Thank you.
I'll be more than happy to talk about it next council.
There, you might want to go, Chris.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, staff reports there. We already talked about that 6.1 dispatch system. No bylaws at this time. No bylaws. Correspondence, we don't have anything there. Correspondence recommended reading there, 9.1. Wyoming Emergency Management Ontario Comprehensive. We have a letter there
Last offer.
that reads pretty good stuff there. Looks like we passed our annual review. Nice letter. Any questions on that?
There you go.
18.
18.
Gary, you got any questions?
No, I think it was very good news to receive.
Okay, moved by Gary. Yeah, not Gary, I guess there's only. Kristen Rodriguez. Correspondence item A relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Fire Exec Committee, filed accordingly. All in favor? Here. Okay, new business. Mr. Atkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one that I have, I understand, at the Kamalaki Station, we had, a little recreation of a dust storm internally. Just wondered, it's two things. First of all, is that contractor then brought up to speed on the proper way of doing that? And secondly, the mess been cleaned up? Because I understood possibly the breathing equipment could have been emanated or something as well. It was, I believe, cutting a drain in the floor.
Taking their drains that were 12 inches square bigger than putting in a channel drains. And both the bays and everything else. And they had to create some dust. And I did talk with them about proper procedures and everything. They were doing it. I was in my office or gone, so that I know there's something brought up about proper PPE, but again, I took the owner brought people in. Unfortunately, there's a language barrier as well. But once I realized it, I knew that you need to wear a mask, you need this and that. And then he proceeded to, but then the best they got the concrete poured yesterday. They got a couple more saw cuts to make, and that's it. And then the guys in to get it cleaned down. I don't think there's any compromise to their breathing air systems and everything. They're dusty, but after when that all got built in 2009, so it was good for a good clean down from top to bottom anyway. So it's just making us do it.
So, okay, so you're doing that. That's all within budget then? It's not the whole process?
Yeah. I'll budget it
And
in.
the cleanup will be involved with that as well.
Just get the guys in and hours with, most of the guys there buying pizza and give them a couple hours and get it cleaned up. One of the dust was actually, I don't like to see it and everything else, but it's that dinner part, like I said, there's been dust that's been collecting and had it all the time wiped down and everything else in a few years, so.
So just, I guess, just make sure the contractor realizes, safety aspects.
Yeah.
We can't afford to have anything go wrong in a municipal, things like that.
Or equipment compromised is what you're alluding to.
That's all I have at the moment, Tim.
So you have, Gary? Kristen? Okay, no new business?
Well, just the tour and visualize some of the stuff you guys were talking
Chief's got anything, Brian?
Pardon me?
Chief's got anything?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Kristen's tour. We will, I'll think about that and we'll set something up. I'm not so sure, a good night for a tour wouldn't be, we talked about this in the past, Gary and I, about going out a training night at each station.
Yeah.
We'll get a better tour than that.
Yeah.
For an hour or two with them, don't have to spend the whole evening with them, but
You and Gary been along, but you've been around forever, not long me, but Gary's been 4 years, everything. Kristen, would be good, not just to see the trucks and the calls and that, but then ask questions of how we actually do things later. We seem to be explaining a lot of things of our procedures and everything else, which doesn't really need to be brought up at this level. That just get to speed what we do and how we do it and everything else.
Well, it gives me a visual
Yeah.
of what we're discussing, right? I get more appreciation for it. You're talking.
you got a pants and coat and hat that will fit her, to show her how the water works.
Oh dear God, look out.
We'll get something going and, see what we can do there. Not gonna promise you a date, but we'll get a tour going. We've done that before. I don't think I have anything. No, I don't have anything tonight, so we will move to adjournment here. Move.
The chief's.
Oh, sorry, you guys have any new business? I assume you
I'm good.
open up real quick.
Nope.
No questions whatsoever. No comments, no,
You want my comments?
I did get a little bit of your comment there.
Before we close, I do have something. It's on the certification of the firefighters. Brought to my attention that the deadline date is not in November, but in fact is in September. To have these guys certified, what?
On the next level of for the next level of the legacy program,
September, right?
October.
Late October.
I got an email saying it's not, it's September. You guys should know.
Yeah.
Okay, are we gonna meet that? Like, who's following up on this right now? That you're the chief.
Yeah, I don't know what Chief Thompson has done now. I didn't expect to be in this position this long, so I guess I have to get going, and that's what, if I'm gonna be there, so.
Yeah, well, my concern is like, if those, I don't know how many there is that need to meet this deadline, but if they don't, my understanding is they can't continue on with what they've been doing. I don't know the details.
I have to change what their functions are and everything else.
Is there a bunch of them, Scott? No.
The handful that a lot of them are covered in 2018 program and everything else that we did. We did one in 16 and Chief Clemens that they opened it up again in 18 and redid it. So well, and all our new recruits have all gone through process that they never certified or anything else, but some of them got certified this in January, February. That we actually wrote the test and everything. So, and with the Office of the Fire Marshal, we're still waiting for results. And
Yes.
Yeah, just let me finish on this one, if you don't mind. Yeah, I just want to make sure nobody falls short here. I can't predict the future, but making sure they do have their grandfathering or certification. The other thing I guess I wanted to bring up, I wasn't gonna bring it up tonight, but since we don't meet that often, inspections, fire inspections. We're not doing any, right?
I've been doing some minor ones, chip trucks, things like that.
And that's all recorded and big part of our fire prevention was already known, so. I guess my fear is that some of this stuff, because of situations that are going on, is falling behind.
Yeah.
The wayside and, we can't let that happen, so.
There's only things, there's so many things I'm qualified to do as well, so. I can do the smaller inspections and I got a handle on that, but I think that the larger and things that, so.
So who do we have, chief, that can do the larger ones? And Willie,
Will could probably help out on some of them and.
Yeah.
And probably bring Laura Swift back. He's looking for work.
well, shouldn't have to bring anybody back, but. Again, my concerns are COVID. COVID really hamper on inspections and everything else. And I know when we looked at that fire master plan, it talked about some of that stuff. And so I know we got to get up to speed. Kristen, go ahead. You had a question.
I just, to what you stated about the deadline with that last handful to get verified on something. So how, like, so if you booked it in August, would they be done by the end of September? If you booked it in, did you need July? Did you need June? Like, what's that gap there? To be able to get to that?
You don't have to book anything. It has to be submitted by, I think it's October 22nd or something. I don't know. And it just has to be submitted to the OFM's office.
Okay, so they can do their training after that date. You just have to have this.
There's no training, no nothing, and everything else is basically that. Chris has never. He took the recruit training course, and he was that passed and everything else. Did everything, wrote the test, but did not write the final test to get certified and to NFPA levels. And he's done that and everything else. He's also been a firefighter for 11 years. And Chris meets that NFPA, that firefighter level 1 and 2. And other things he's done, big experience and courses and everything else. And as fire chief, that I can sign them off at this level.
And then you just submit that paper.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's an administration thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the legacy
Yeah,
path.
yeah.
The other one is the certification,
Yeah.
which involves the firefighter challenging the tests, doing the practical skills in front of an evaluator and doing that. And that's what we hosted back in January, February.
Yeah.
But
So
you
this,
still had a handful that have to do that part.
we
Or
had-
just the submission part.
we had, there is a handful that weren't able to do it, in February. They can either challenge it again, like do the certification, at another time, or to do the legacy. I think they have to be on for 5 years, I believe,
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't.
There's a few that have to do the certification. They haven't been on long enough
Yeah.
to meet the requirements to do the legacy portion, which is the administrative, putting the paperwork in, showing that, yes, this individual has all these qualifications and it is able to be signed off.
And they have taken all the courses. So that
Okay,
so
so
to that level, just need to.
I'm trying to understand, what is the timeline then? It sounds like it's gonna vary between.
So the end goal was the legislation the province passed was all firefighters in Ontario are certified or legacy by, I believe it's 2026.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't even matter if you don't get to it?
Yeah, the OFM, they opened up these 2 legacy periods to be able to submit the paperwork to say this person they haven't written the test, but they can prove that they have the knowledge and skills to perform these duties and be legacy. It used to be called grandfather, it's called legacy now. Yeah, there's still time that they can get in, they can challenge the test and go through the certification process.
You still got a whole another year to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not stuck with this. Everybody has to be done by the end of October thing. Perfect.
Okay, I do have a couple other things too, while I'm thinking about it. Washrooms, how? Have you started the washroom upgrades at Kamlaki Hall?
Nope.
No. Are you going to? This year?
I don't think so. Other than, got a grant for the doors. For accessibility.
Yeah, accessibility. The ladies' washroom, I think. And how about the showers at Wyoming? Are they?
Yep.
No, good. That's all I have. Anything else here from anybody? Okay, moved by Kristen Rodriguez, second by Gary Atkinson, that the Fire Exec Committee adjourns until June the 19th, 2023. All in favor? Carried.
One thing I should say too, we should welcome Ella to our team.
Oh, yeah. Fun adjourned.
Can you put that in?
To have her here.
Welcome Ella Flynn.
With bigger print on the finance.
Well, as long as I remember my glasses, I'm good, so.
I thought we did last meeting, but she was visiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, now she's official. Yeah, what's your new title, Ella?
Executive Assistant Corporate Services.
Executive Assistant
Well, isn't that-
Services.
I want a bigger title. I've been around a lot longer too, guys.
You want a fancy title? I just like that. too.
We can give you one. It's good.
I got District Chief of Kalaki Station, Wyoming Fire Department.